Hello, everyone, and welcome to Survival TV, the Talk with Dr. Shae. I have the opportunity today to talk to you about something that I actually enjoy talking about, which is change. Change management, the ability to survive change, to be resilient and develop and strengthen our resilience as we navigate life. Change is inevitable. I mean, it's one of those things we absolutely cannot get away from. Once you stop changing, you stop growing. And once you stop growing, you start dying. And even in dying, there's some elements of change. But it's one of those things, it's just the natural cycle of life. We do want to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and be able to ride the wave. What we see happening today, right, in the world today is really what I think is change tension. We're calling it lots of things, right? We've got a pandemic, we've got civic unrest, we've got, racism sort of boiling at the surface. We've got all of these things happening in today's society. But really what's happening is tension around changing our environment. Changes that are being proposed, suggested, advised, and then even in some cases, changes that are being demanded in areas of social justice, health, safety, and really our environment, right? We're being called to change many things at the same time. And even though change is necessary, it's still uncomfortable, right? I mean, no one really enjoys change. Even positive changes, right, can be uncomfortable. Because the reality is we like autopilot. We like our lives to be predictable. We like them to be stable. We like to know what's coming next. And sadly, even if it's a toxic stability, we can probably attest to seeing different situations in our lives or other people's lives, jobs, relationships that were toxic, right? But they were familiar. We as human beings really need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I know that's not a fun idea, but it really is natural for things to be uncomfortable. And we want to get to a place where we can develop some comfort around that. Think of all the ways that we attempt to relieve discomfort from our lives, or really just avoid being vulnerable, right? Because vulnerability can be such a sensitive experience. But we're doing this so much that it's starting to threaten our health and really our ability to survive. Our drugs are getting stronger, right, in an attempt to reduce all discomfort. Our habits are increasing. Convenience is being sold. And we are becoming more numb and really less emotionally resilient as a result. Now, even though I'm talking about this, I know this, I still do this, right? So health is really important to me. It's one of my most important values. I really, truly do believe that health is wealth. And I enjoy working out. Now, as you can see, I'm not a skinny mini by far, and I never will be, but I still do enjoy working out. But one of the things that I don't like about working out is cardio. I've never really enjoyed cardio. It is not my choice in working out. I just know that it's something that I have to do in order to be healthy and good for weight loss control or weight control. But I like my cardio to be convenient if I can. So I try to avoid the treadmill, right? I'll take the elliptical if I can. Push-ups, no thank you. I prefer lifting weights. And right now during this pandemic, with gyms being closed, the idea of running outside is like, oh, it's too hot, right? So we have developed a life where we want things to be convenient in order to reduce our discomfort. I can recall when I was pregnant, and really from the beginning, I started to think about natural labor, and I wanted to avoid natural labor if I could. And I remember going to the doctor and saying to him, okay, so I don't want a natural labor, prefer a C-section, right? I remember him looking at me and he's just like, so that's not how that works, right? But really it's in an attempt to remove potential discomfort, right? I just kind of want to be pregnant and the baby just appears, right? And I don't want to have to go through the journey or the process or the pain of what that might look like. Nevertheless, right, when I think about the most uncomfortable moments of my life, by far, those have been the moments that have yielded undoubtedly the most growth. So discomfort and the journey and the process of change has been the most effective thing in my life. So it's not something I really want to eliminate, but just acknowledging that the process can be painful and uncomfortable. Now, not all change is made equal, right? And it really isn't necessarily right or wrong in how we deal with change. We want to get to a place where we understand that we all move and do things differently. But sometimes we see resistance to change, right? And it can be interpreted as stagnation, right? So I want to talk about the different types of resistance that you might see. Sometimes change resistance, it results from fear, mistrust, or really is survival based. So the idea of I can't change, right? And you might hear that from people, I cannot make these changes. And when you have people who are in that space, it's possibly because they don't understand the change, right? We have not done it. And this is important for change leaders to understand that we need to do a better job at helping people understand the changes that we want them to make. And understand that not understanding the changes can produce some mistrust. It could also mean that I don't have the emotional capacity to deal with this, right? Like I have too many other things to worry about, too many other things that are going on, too many other priorities. I can't change. I don't have the room to make these changes. It could also be a reflection of trauma, right? If you have folks who have historically seen bad changes, change that has gone wrong back to back, we can't expect people to just change, right? And thinking about the level of anxiety that all of those changes may bring for them, especially if it's coming from a source that they already may not trust, right? So trusting the source of who's requesting the change is also just as important. And sometimes the changes just look scary, right? What does this mean for my life down the road, and how can I make this permanent? The other type of change resistance you might see is when a change is not aligned with who you are, right? So it reflects a moment where it reflects, I'm comfortable where I am, I feel safe where I am, and I can't see how these changes align with my values or just my life in general, right? It's safe here. So this change doesn't really feel necessary to me. And there's nothing about this change that motivates me, or it might directly conflict with my values, right? And then there are times when change resistance is sort of like a privileged resistance, right? I won't change. And I won't change because I don't have to. And sometimes those changes are a result of having the power and the privilege to be able to resist those kinds of changes. Right or wrong, it just is, right? And there are some folks who may have the ability to resist changes in their lives because of their power and privilege.